You know, when I first started making book content, I thought that this niche would be a whole lot less controversial than some of the other niches that I've made content for, but boy, was I wrong. So it's been a few weeks since I made that video about the guy on TikTok that everyone was mad about because he got a book deal, and I'm sure there's been a few other controversies in between then and now, but I saw something interesting happening this week that I want to address, which is Carl over at Please Read Your Book. He's a small BookTube channel that usually reviews like speculative fiction, sci-fi, that kind of thing. He made a very interesting video called 4 Things I Wish I Had Known Before Starting BookTube, or something to that effect. Now this video seems to be going bananas. I mean, last I checked, it had a few thousand views, it had hundreds of comments, which for a very small channel like his, I think last I looked, he had less than 1,000 subscribers. That's pretty impressive. But more surprisingly, I've seen maybe 6 or even 7 people do response or rebuttal videos to his video, which I don't have a problem with. I think that's kind of part of social media. It's about being social and just bouncing ideas off of other people, even if you don't agree. But what's really strange to me is I thought that Carl's video was pretty innocuous. He talked about things like how BookTube was actually a little bit more challenging than he found it to be, and that it took him longer to kind of gain some traction on the platform than he thought that he might, and that there's a lot more that goes into making a video other than just hitting upload. And to be honest, I agreed with most of his points. I wouldn't consider myself a true expert on social media, but I have an audience of over 250,000 people across platforms, and yeah, I think YouTube's probably the hardest one to succeed at. But it seemed that people were really taking issue with 2 things that he was saying in his videos, and I saw people address this in some of their response videos, but also in the comments of his video and the response videos themselves. People seem to really be upset with the fact that he said that no one watches book reviews. And you know what? He's absolutely right. And if your first thought was, well, I watch book reviews, Tony, okay, you don't represent the entirety of the online community. If you watch book reviews, that's fantastic, but you are in a minority. And there's a bit of irony here because Carl does do a lot of book reviews. None of them do that well in terms of engagement, yet he makes a video about commenting on the larger niche of books online, and that's the video that performs well, and then people sit there and go, no bro, people do actually watch book reviews. Like, your behavior is actually proving his point. And I would also expect that readers have enough media literacy and just comprehension to understand that to say no one watches book reviews is a colloquialism, it's an exaggeration, or it's just kind of a broad generalization, which happens to be true. Of course there are people that watch book reviews. He's not saying 0 people watch book reviews, but generally book reviews do not do that well on any platform. Individual book reviews do not perform well, and let me explain to you why if you don't understand what I'm talking about. It's been estimated that over 100 million unique books have been written in the history of humanity. Think about that for a second. 100 million books. Even people who read a lot of books every year, maybe 100, 200 books per year, will never even scratch the surface of all of the books that have been written throughout history. Now, a platform like YouTube has, 3 billion users on it, but of those 3 billion users, how many of those people are readers? Well, I would say on the very extremely high end of a well-performing book-related video, that video might get, we'll just call it 1 million views. Now, how much is 1 million out of 3 billion? That means a tiny, tiny, tiny little fraction of YouTube users are actually readers. Now, let's say you're going to do a book review about a single book. Let's just say this book, Middle C by William Gass. Okay, so you read this book, now you do a review of it, you post it to YouTube. How many of those 0.0003% or whatever have actually read this book or are interested in it? It's an infinitesimally small amount of people. And if you've already read a book, you might be seeking out what other people have said about it because you might be interested in their thoughts, maybe you want to start a dialogue with them. But if you haven't read the book yet, it requires you to even know about it and be interested in it in the first place for you to go looking for this type of book content. And the tricky thing for creators is, if you are doing the review for people who have already read the book, That's a very small group of people. The number of people who might be interested in reading the book is potentially bigger, but then how do you package a review that's worth listening to but doesn't actually spoil the themes or the story for the viewer? It can be done. It's hard to do, but we are talking about an ultra niche group of people that could potentially be interested in this piece of content. So when Carl said that nobody watches book reviews, yeah, he's right. It's pretty uncommon. Now you might say, okay, Tony, but what about a book like Yellowface by R.F. Kuang? It sold over 1 million copies. Lots of people are interested in that. Surely there's a large audience for a book review like that. That is true, but there's a downside to that book being so popular, which is now there are likely hundreds, if not thousands of reviews to choose from, and now it's making it harder for people to get to your review because your review is now competing with all of the other reviews that have been posted online. Now, all this is to say, if you enjoy making book reviews, if you enjoy watching book reviews, that's great. Keep doing it. There's nothing wrong with doing a book review on BookTube. That's kind of how the whole thing got started, although it's not really what works anymore. But you have to acknowledge the fact that, yeah, these videos typically just do not perform as well as listicles or talking about certain concepts within the publishing industry as a whole. Now you might be thinking, okay, Tony, that's great, but it's not all about views and engagement and all this stuff. Some people just want to make reviews just to do it. That's fine. But you don't have the right to tell someone else what their goals are. You don't have the right to tell someone else what their measure of success is. Now, presumably, you are posting something to the internet so other people see it. If you aren't doing that, why are you posting to the internet? Why not just write your book review in your journal or on your Goodreads page that no one's ever going to look at? You're posting it because you want to share it with other people. Now, you might be satisfied with 200, 500,000 views on a video, and that's fine. But if somebody else's measure of success is 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 views, who cares? That's their right to pursue that goal. Just because they put a higher stake in the engagement that a video gets doesn't mean that their opinion is invalid or that they're vain. You also care about those things, else you would not be making these videos in the first place. Because I did notice that most of the people giving Carl grief over this stuff also have BookTube accounts. Now, the other thing that people seem to really get bent out of shape about, which was very strange to me, was that Carl had said that there's a lot more that goes into BookTube than you might expect, with thinking of how to structure the videos and scripting them and shooting the thumbnail. And a lot of people were commenting things like, what are you talking about? It's so easy. I just hit record and upload it. Yeah, you know what's so weird to me about this is, like, again, this is a very selfish mindset for people to have. Do you think that I have good audio and good video and good lighting just for, like, my own shits and grins? Like, yeah, I think it looks cool, but I'm doing all of it so it's a better experience for you, the viewer. Like, taking the time to package something in a nice way is literally the least selfish thing somebody could do as a creator. If you're the type of person that just wings it, hits record, hits upload, cool, that's great. Do your thing. If people are resonating with that, like, good for you. You're very lucky that you can just be your natural, authentic, carefree, easygoing self and it clicks. But for most people, that's not actually how it works. And I mean, we don't give writers a hard time for having editors, right? We don't give publishers a hard time for putting interesting imagery on book covers, right? All of this is packaging to get people's attention and bring them into the thing that we've created. I don't really see a problem with that. In fact, I'm pretty sure we would really make fun of a writer that just wrote something one time, didn't reread it, didn't do any editing, and just tried to get it published or posted it to the internet somewhere, self-published it on Kindle. Like, we'd probably roast that writer. I get dozens, if not hundreds, of writers every week reaching out to me, sometimes begging me to platform their book on social media. Am I supposed to make fun of these people because they want their book to be read? Like, no, we create something and we want other people to experience it because we're proud of what we created. I don't see why that's bad. Now, I'm not saying creating BookTube videos is the same caliber of art as writing literature or something like that, but people are often proud of what they create, and they put care and passion into it regardless of what it is. And so if we are doing the things that we need to do to make the things we create get noticed, I think that's totally fair game. I mean, I tell people all the time, like, you could give tonight's winning lottery numbers in the middle of your video, but if no one ever clicks on that video, they're going to miss out. So it wasn't all bad. I mean, some of the responses that Carl got I thought were positive. A lot of the comments were positive, but I was really surprised by some of the kind of negative backlash or the downright just bullying that some people were doing. Because I look at a piece of content like that and I think, who's the victim by this content being made? Whose life is worse off? Because Carl made this video explaining some things that he has experienced by going through this process of posting to the internet. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I thought it was pretty innocuous, and honestly, this is the type of self-defeating stuff that is really just not healthy for the book community in general. In an age where books are under attack, people are reading less and less, literacy is down, comprehension's down, like, we got to do better, guys.